Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good morning and welcome back to the lecture series on partition of India in print media and cinema. Today we are going to discuss accounts of the survivor, and we are already talking about Amrita Pritam's Pinjar. So, when we talk about the question of identity in Pinjar, we see that Rashid, the Muslim peasant and the peasant Muslim abductor of Puru, the female lead character in Pinjar, is tattooed on her hand by Rashid's mother. After Rashid takes Puru away to his home, Rashid's mother embeds a tattoo on Puru's hand and renames her as Hamida. So, this is a moment where Puru's original identity, her former natal identity, is compromised. So, Puru, and this is because I mean, this is considering the question of safety and muffling any kind of communal tension centering the act of abduction of Puru. So, if she bore a Hindu name, it would cause suspicion and disquiet in the neighborhood. So, her name is in a way she is overwritten by the newly tattooed name Hamida, which symbolizes status quo and, like I said, silencing and muffling of the violence that was enacted on her. So, the rest, like the rest of her body, which is beyond her control, her hand actually attests her own case as a person, her lack of or her unmaking of personhood. So, her hand bears out her changed identity and witnesses her becoming visibly Muslim. So, tattoo is intended to forcefully seal the process of her abduction and a religious conversion through negating her past identity and relationships. So, as though a new person is born through purported death of the former person Puru. So, identity of Hamida, especially the way she herself uses it later on, is however remarkable in the story. So, from the question of victim, so from being a victim, she goes on to become an agent who is in charge of life choices and who is also active, who plays an active role in saving another woman who happens to be her sister-in-law Lajo, and who is also in a similar situation. So, Lajo has also been abducted during the partition riots. She has been abducted during partition riots. So, we see that the Hamida name is cleverly used by Puru in such a way that it renders her some freedom, it allows her some freedom that she had never enjoyed as a betrothed Hindu woman, or definitely not as an abducted riot victim. So, her figuration of Hamida, the way she imagines, and there is a point in the narrative where Puru cannot identify with and does not interface with this imposed identity Hamida. She is still Puru from within, but after a point she has her own figuration of Hamida. She shapes a version of Hamida from within herself. She owns the identity in a way that would suit her. So, she plays actually a poor Muslim in a bid to save her sister-in-law. She plays the poor Muslim woman that sells wares and someone that is not behaviorally dictated by the strictures of upper classes, refined codes of conduct. So, she as a saleswoman, selling wares, she enters, she talks loudly, she enters unfamiliar households, eats at their places, freely associates with unknown people, and ultimately her agency is visible when she plays the savior of another female victim. So at the point when Puru starts intersecting with and interacting with this imposed identity, Hamida, and she has her own version of Hamida, like I said, Puru treats Rashid as her equal partner who supports her personal goal, a kind of man-woman relationship that was unthinkable. And something that she had never experienced with any other male relative in the past. Her father, her brother, her fiance never actually treated her as an equal human being. This is something that she gains through becoming her version of Hamida. So, Rashid at this stage we see helps Puru in rescuing another abducted Hindu woman from the Muslim household. We see the entire journey, the mental scape of Rashid and how it transforms. So, it is very difficult to see humans as fixed and totally given into evil acts or evil ideas or evil deeds, but they actually, very ordinary people during partition perform heinous acts, and afterwards they can actually display, in other situations they can display their humane traits and they can be solely guilty of their past actions, and Rashid is a case in hand. So Rashid afterwards is solely guilty, he is cognizant of what he has done, and he helps rescuing another abducted Hindu woman from another Muslim household. So this woman, like I said, Lajo, is Puru's brother's wife, and she is using the tattooed name Hamida on her hand as an advantage. So, for winning the confidence of the abductor's family, so she can enter into the household and enable and help her sister-in-law escape captivity. So, this is an instance of Puru translating her body marking into a site of power. So, Puru's tattoo, we have to understand, in an Indian situation, women use tattoos as beauty statements, and they especially in the rural parts of in different rural parts of India, women tattoo their bodies, and that have a different signification altogether. That's a beauty statement, but she is tattooed as a war prize. She does not tattoo her body, she is tattooed in abnormal times and in turbulent times, and the tattoo defines her as a war prize. So, we see that the tattoo also could delineate a reverse journey for her from being the figure of the outsider. So, when we see from the point of view of Rashid's family, she was an outsider initially, but with the tattoo enables her to become a part of the family. So, from the figure of the outsider that inspires rivalry and someone that is seen as a symbol of sacrilege, to becoming a kin and someone that Rashid's family can believe. So, this tattoo enables her to earn or to gain some trust, and within her immediate cosmos, she is looked at as a familiar figure. She does not remain an alien or an unfamiliar woman. So she begins to trust and in turn be trusted. within the new space with the help of the tattoo. So, the Hamida becomes the new reality, and yet we see the fragmented self of Puru coming back. She is Puru turned into Hamida. So, she is a palimpsestic existence where the raised ghost of Puru keeps coming back to haunt her, and even after being forced to marry Rashid, Puru fantasizes her marriage with her fiance Ramchand, and so there is this tension between the two identities. We see masculinist aggression and display of virility quite clearly, where Puru's brother sets fire to Rashid's crops as a way of avenging his act of abducting Puru. But who suffers as a result? It is Hamida's household that is suffering. So, while Puru's brother imagines, or he is under the impression that he is taking an apt revenge through setting fire to Rashid's crops, basically Hamida's household suffers as a consequence of this, suffers the consequences of this rash action. So, her idea of rescuing Laju is to spare her the fragmented, unreconciled identity that for the rest of her life. So, the issue of identity crisis is not only pertaining to Puru, but it extends to all such women who had to face religious conversions across both sides of the border, and they had to enter a new geographico-cultural space. And had Laju not been rescued by Puru, had Puru not intervened in her case, she would have to continue to live in the new household with a reinvented identity. And we see how the persona of these abducted women change. So, we have seen them prior to abduction and before the riots, where Puru and Laju are very cheerful. They are generally cheerful, lively characters, but they transform into silent, unhappy women. So, then we can see the case of Puru's miscarried pregnancy. So, which her miscarried pregnancy symbolizes an unfruitful sexual union, where Rashid in the first place initially had forced himself on her. So, and yet we see Rashid is trying to, so Rashid is also not an immutable, pre-given kind of a stock image of Muslim aggression or something like that, the aggressive Muslim abductor. He is a human, and his human dimensions are being interrogated and discovered through the novel. So, throughout the novel, so he makes up for his initial aggressive acts through adopting a child for Puru, and so it is a part, I mean on his part, it is a way of recognizing and amending for the trauma that he has caused to Puru. So, yet we see that there are lots of communal disputes and discussions centering this child and her dead mother, and so the Hindus in the village, actually the panchayats, the headmen who are from Hindu community, decide that Puru cannot claim custody, cannot claim the child's custody. So, we see here is a paradoxical situation where Puru happens to be she is originally a Hindu woman, born a Hindu, converted to Islam, and so basically a woman's caste, a woman's community are all like outward clothing. They are not intrinsic, they are patriarchal designs imposed on her. So, on one moment she has it, even the concept of landed position, concept of possessing a home are not permanent. When we talk about a woman, so she does not possess a home, a caste identity, a communal identity, by virtue of the fact that she has to bear Rashid's communal identity. the child is taken away from her, but ironically she is as Hindu as the child is. So we see that this tragic episode is also a beginning of Puru's conscious intersection with Hamida, and it enables reciprocal human feelings between Rashid and his wife. So the image of the mad woman in the narrative. The mad woman is naked. She is stark naked and is a metaphor, and her nakedness is metaphor for her non-religious identity, and it causes alarm. The refined people cannot look into her eye, or they cannot actually see her in the way she runs about. Although she is not harmful, she is not malevolent, she is benign, and yet the society is scared of the naked mad woman. Amrit Pritam introduces a note of irony here. So who is mad? And this actually reminds us of Toba Tek Singh. The liminal existence, which is neither here nor there, the no man's land, the person standing on the no man's land, is the in other words, the non-sectarian identity in the face of communal riots and communal tensions and extremist views being fanned. The non-sectarian person is mad and causes alarm, provokes suspicion, and is a source of terror. So the mad woman she is impregnated, she is raped and impregnated. So when we look at the pregnant mad woman, it is a further comment on the dehumanized society, and ultimately this woman dies after giving birth to a boy. And so with this death, we see metaphorically death of an identity that did not belong to any pre-given meaning, the meanings that were shaping the meta narratives at that time. So she did not belong to any of the nations that were to be. So she actually was a space of uncertainty, and she gave birth to a figure that also bears uncertainty. So the child signifies a sense of not belonging anywhere. So the child is actually a lack of meaning, right? And so there is a fight over the identity of the child. We don't know which community the rapist belongs to. Maybe there is no one person, but multiple people that have raped her. So the communal identity in this case is ironically being tied up with the mother, because everyone knows the community of the mad woman. She is a Hindu, but no one knows the identity of the rapist. Even if people knew, they would not divulge. So Hamida adopts this mad woman's child, and the panchayat of the Hindus believe that this is a way, I mean this is a ploy for the Muslims to grab a Hindu child. Under the very noses of Hindus, they have converted a Hindu child into a Muslim. So and afterwards the Hindus actually are able to snatch the child from Hamida, purify it and give it to another poor Hindu woman to be brought up. So another woman is given, the child is given to another woman for his upbringing. So this is a powerful statement where a woman's individual social decision, I mean the dominance of aggressive religious assertions and how they impact the social relations before partition. This is a powerful statement on how the dominance of aggressive religious assertions impact the social relationships. So Puru makes a strong statement criticizing the hypocrisy of the society, social hypocrisy. So, regarding this the impregnation of the mad woman, Puru says, she who had no beauty, no youth, only a body of flesh, the one without a conscience, only a skeleton, a mad skeleton. The eagles devoured her too. So, the rape of the woman, her impregnation and the politics over her child stands as an example of how patriarchy is at the heart of, and how patriarchy gives rise to communal disputes. So, Puru as a woman had taken a social decision, and yet it was actually it was undermined, it was discarded by the a set of village headmen, the panchayat, and their decision in turn was imposed on her. So, in times when religious identity become a brutal blueprint of territorial boundaries, Amrita Pritam, through her female protagonist, critiques and analyzes the outcome of religious community overlapping with the category of nation. What happens when we start seeing a nation as a monolithic identity made up of one religious community? And as well, the narrative highlights patriarchal hypocrisy and challenges nationalist obsessions. So, Nonika Datta studies partition experiences of Pritam and notes, in 1947 Lahore was turned into a graveyard. Amrita writes, it was the politics of hate that swept Lahore in flames. At night one would see houses being in flames, hear cries of desperation, and witness long hours of curfew during the day. So, and her father, Pritam's father, is persecuted by religious bigots, which make her actually ask, does this land not belong to those who are born here? For whom are those spears flashing in their hands? So, partition is the most crucial moment in defining Amrita Pritam's worldview. It enables her to forge a kainati rishta or fraternal relationship with the universe, and to create her world in accordance with Punjabi language, culture and social history. So, we see how Pritam interrogates the logic of partition. There was no basis for partition, it had fragile foundations. Punjab's legacy is a shared one, and we start our understanding of Punjab through poems by Baba Farid. So, she narrates the partition of India continued to become a festered wound in the bosom of history. Nobody would ever know how the dreams of so many girls were slaughtered because of this process. So, she cannot and does not identify with national borders. She actually testifies, her identity testifies to a plurality and the plurality that Punjabi community exemplified through cultural symbols, literary works, landscapes and motifs. So, she feels rooted, she feels rootless and separated from her lover and land. In her poem Tawarik or History, she talks about Punjab's partition. She compares Punjab's partition with the anguish of an abducted woman, nobody to consult the stars, the honor of the house was crushed in the bazaar. Where is the mother who is queen, the father who is king, who has cursed the daughter? Where are my own sisters, my own brothers, who has torn apart the ties of wood? Where are the childhood friends, my own village, who can I tell what happened to me, as if my limbs had been torn from my body? So, she talks about the situation where the woman, a girl in her youth, has been forced to experience motherhood, who knows nothing about worldliness. So, the helplessness of the woman, the trauma of rape is actually described in her poem Helplessness through the metaphor of the mother's womb. The mother's womb is a victim of this madness about partition. So, I am a symbol of that accident. The helpless womb is compared to the helpless Punjab that has been sundered, and so the child that was born is actually a blackened spot. Partition is like a cursed child born of this womb. of the unwilling mother. So, she mourns that a flourishing Punjab was cut down in its green age, right. And so, this disillusionment with independence, with the category of nation and redrawn territorial boundaries that destroyed the mundane rhythms of people's lives is something that keeps coming back in Pritam's work. So, she offers an alternative voice in history. In many ways, her life history constitutes a counter narrative to dominant histories that are available on 1947 Partition, and so it could be treated as an alternative archive of Partition. So, her relationship or interaction with religious community, with national identity are constantly, they are ambivalent and conflictive, they are distant. From Pritam's account, we understand that the refugees' anguish do not only render into communalized consciousness, but they can also be transformed into artistic or poetic sensibility. With this, I am going to stop today's lecture and we will meet again for another round of discussions. Thank you.